Still trying to figure out this whole YouTube thing. I don't know why it's taking me so long to figure this out. I just have to click go live. Okay, there we go. And I never changed the thumbnail either. Great. Great. Well, shit. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. The Hurricane Watch Team is here with a tropical weather update. We got quite a bit to talk about, especially regarding Tropical Cyclone Yagi. Here has a 40 knots. Earlier today was at 45 knots, so it's really showing tropical storm intensity. Although based on everything I'm seeing, it looks like it's going to become once it gets over the South China Sea, that's when we expect it to undergo rapid intensification, where some models are showing it get as low as 930, 920 millibars. We're going to talk about how strong the storm is going to get, the areas of where it's going to impact. Is it going to make landfall on this island? If so, it could be one of the strongest storms to make landfall there in quite some time. If the strongest ever on that island. And then, so it could be not one, but in fact, two separate landfalls as a typhoon. Technically. 1, 2, 3, possibly up to 4 landfalls. But regardless, this storm is going to be pretty intense, and we want to talk a little bit about why that is. But first off, let's talk a little bit about the forecast modeling for this tropical cyclone. We're going to go over all of the modeling and talk about where the storm is going to go, its intensity, flooding, and how strong it's going to be. So as you can see, once it emerges over the South China Sea, it really rapidly intensifies, rapidly organizes once it gets away from land. That land interaction is preventing it from undergoing rapid intensification. Now that I realize, that's why weekend it made landfall. The reason it has weakened, it has made landfall over the northern Philippines. But once it gets over the South China Sea, it will rapidly organize again and undergo rapid intensification. This one model predicts it to become relatively strong at about 927 millibars prior to weakening as it moves over cooler waters, and the tropical cyclone heat potential won't be as strong as it moves over cooler waters. Still strong enough for a major cyclone to impact southern China, to be potentially very close to Hong Kong. Oh yeah, I was doing the low deck. Wind-wise, so currently it is over the northern Philippine Islands. So over the northern Philippine Islands, so it is not going to be intensifying until it moves back over water. Once that happens, possibly in about 1.5 days, it could already intensify into a cyclone, to a typhoon. And from there, it will only quickly intensify further and further, reaching upwards of 130 miles an hour. 114 knots, about 130 miles an hour right there. But it continues to move closer and make landfall there. At 8, looks like a landfall there at a low-end Category 1 hurricane, which I think will be a little bit stronger than that. This only shows 75 miles an hour, but at 950 millibars, I believe it'll be stronger than that for sure. Talk about the flooding and how much rain we could see from this. This just shows you the amount of moisture available that will be with it. So there will be a lot of moisture, especially as the storm intensifies. There will be a lot more moisture with it as this does approach land, make landfall. There will be a lot of moisture with it surging into southern China, areas near Hong Kong, and there could be quite a bit of flooding with this system. I believe this is Hong Kong over here. Hong Kong will be off to the east, which means it will be on the wet side. But it is quite a ways down the coastline, so it will be quite a ways down. But they could still see some onshore flow and some gusty winds as well. Tornadoes are also possible. Landspouts are also possible. So I want to take a look at the halves A and see what they're showing there, as it could certainly be pretty serious. Alright, let's take a look and see what we got here. So here it is. Moves over the South China Sea, intensifies. Again, we do expect it to intensify. Right now it's not intensifying because it is over land. It needs to be over water for the storm to intensify. But once it gets over water, we will see this rapidly intensifying. The storm shows it a lot stronger than any of the other models. There it is at 915 millibars. Super strong core there. Very clear eye. We'll likely see on satellite. We'll see strong core, strong winds, 150 probably up to 150 plus miles per hour there. We'll see flooding will also be possible, as we'll see that as it gets closer, we'll see the waters rise with the storm surge, and especially once there makes nightfall, they're reaching 938 millibars. Onshore flow right here in the right front quadrant, right along this area of China. This is just this one model that can make landfall anywhere. It may make landfall farther west. It may make landfall farther east towards Hong Kong. But right now, this is what one of the models is showing. It does look pretty intense. I do want to look and show to see what the winds are going to be. This is showing winds of 100 knots. I'm going to say that's what, 110 miles an hour. 938 millibars at 100 knots seems relatively weak. Was it 103? Okay. I think it's at 110. Oh no, wow. More like 120. So this is a lot stronger, and a little bit stronger, about 120 miles an hour. So this would be a major Category 3 hurricane on the Saffir-Simpson hurricane wind scale. There's making landfall. There you go. As you can see, they're at peak intensity at 146 knots. Lowest air pressure it gets down to is 915 millibars. Okay, so again, 146 knots. That is a major Category 5 typhoon. Yeah, that's about 170 miles an hour. At this point, it won't be out to sea, but it will still cause any ships that go in that area. There'll be lots of swells and very strong rip currents for anywhere in this area. This is, no, that's satellite. No, they don't use satellite at all, clearly. This just shows the vorticity, the spin in the atmosphere that we'll see with this storm. Go all the way back. All the way back here. The vorticity goes up very strong, especially as it was going over Taiwan, the Philippines there. But again, every single model has been consistent with the fact that once this gets over the South China Sea, that is when we expect the storm to rapidly organize and then rapidly intensify because of the warm sea surface temperatures, low wind shear, and very moist air in the atmosphere. We're really beginning to intensify, really organizing there, and even staying very well past landfall. There's China right through here. And then it really stays well together. You can still kind of see the center, the outflow a little bit here, all the way to there. Certainly is going to be something we're going to be closely monitoring because of how serious this could certainly be, for sure. Go over this a little bit, talk about our diet. Take a look at these diagnostics. Alright. Can you not? Just stop. What is this? So yeah, as you can see, these are what the models are showing. This was September 1st. Let's take a look at September 2nd. September 2nd. There it shows it going right over the northern Philippine Islands. And then mainly looks like it's headed right there for South China. No longer making that towards the Japan or even Taiwan, thankfully. Looks like that's sort of what we're looking at. That's kind of what we believe is going to happen. Intensity-wise, it's going to go down a little bit because it is over land. But then it's going to rapidly intensify. As you can all see, some of them showing 100 plus knots there. Shear is going to stay under 20 knots. Some of them modeling is showing under 10 knots. Sea surface temperatures very, very warm. All of them showing above 28 to 30 degrees Celsius. Very warm sea surface temperatures. And the humidity comes down a little bit, but then as it gets closer to landfall, the humidity does in fact go up. But really anything over 60% is pretty good. Anything over 60% is good. And we're seeing the mid-level humidity well above 60%, even right now at 80% humidity. As a model, let's take a look at the GEFS modeling. Here it is. Again, intensity is going to go down because it is over land, but it is going to rapidly strengthen upwards of 100 plus knots as possible. Again, the track is going to be, most likely, it's going to be an impact to southern China. Shear is going to stay relatively low. This one modeling is showing that we could see shear under 10 knots. And then sea surface temperatures there above 30 degrees Celsius. Very, very hot and very, very warm sea surface up here. Yeah. And then the relative humidity stays above 60%. So everything that we see here shows that the storm has everything it needs to stay strong and to be strong. The only thing really preventing it might be the shear. The shear maybe, depending on how high up the shear goes. If it does come 15, 20 knots, that might be an issue towards the end. But really, the humidity is good. Everything that we see here, the shear is low, the sea surface temperatures are high, and the humidity is above 60 to 80, between 60 and 80%. So we have everything there showing for a very strong system. This just shows the areas where it could impact out here. Some of them showing farther off towards the south into, I want to say that's Thailand and Laos, Cambodia, Vietnam, in that area, possibly, but mainly China's a very southern, same with southwest China or south central China, could also very well be impacted by this, will most likely be impacted by the storm. But it does look like this will be going away from Taiwan and away from Japan, but unfortunately impacts southern China, Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia will also be impacted as well. Something we're going to have to watch out for depending on how far this storm will be going. I want to go to the Joint Typhoon Warning Center and see what they're showing with their system. Here's its current location. Again, over the Philippines, it's going to be moving in this direction. Here's Hong Kong. Here's China, Taiwan. We have the Japanese islands up here. We have the Philippines right through here. So we'll be moving into the South China Sea. As that happens, it will rapidly intensify. It will rapidly organize. If we take a look at the current satellite imagery, you could already see there is deep convection with this storm, and it hasn't even gone over water. Here's the current location. Wherever my mouse is at. This mouse is just kind of tripping out on me. There's the current location of where the center of the storm is at. We have deep convection off towards the west. We still have lots of outflow as the storm makes its way back over the South China Sea. Again, I want to continuously reiterate that we do expect to see that the storm will rapidly intensify once it gets over the waters again. Anyone has any comments, questions, or concerns, feel free to answer any questions that you may have. I don't know why we're still talking about this. It's literally not going anywhere. This is the top thing. It should be Yagi, and it will be really impacting. So air pressure has gone down. Excuse me, it has gone up a little bit. I also want to talk a little bit about what we are seeing in the North Atlantic as well. If my mouse wants to work, for the love of goodness. Oh, this is completely new. What the heck is going on here? Oh yeah, got some more charts I want to talk about. Maybe my mouse is dying. I need to probably change the. Haven't changed it in like 6 months. So again, this is where the storm is at. It is going to be moving over the South China Sea. As that happens, we will see it to begin to intensify. I don't even know exactly what I'm looking at here, to be fair. This is high probability. Ooh. There's probably, now that I think of it, there's probably high pressure there over China, which is keeping it to the south. Let's take a look at that. I'm curious. Sure enough, there's a high pressure right there, keeping it well to the south. It's actually over. I'm trying to figure out where China ends. This all, yeah, this is all China up here. China goes pretty far north. Big country. And there's another ridge of high pressure that moves over northern China, keeps this pushed off to the south. That moves north, continues to stay well off to the south. And we got another storm right behind it. We got multiple storms that could be developing right behind it. So it's going to be a very, very active season. The other models are showing a direct landfall there. I think Shanghai is well off to the north. I want to say Shanghai is like way up here. So I was probably not Shanghai. And then another system impacting the very similar area where this other storm is going to be impacting as well. And then another storm right behind it. However, this looks like it's going to be moving off to the north, possibly off to the east, which would be very, very good. But we have to monitor what we're going to see with this system here, or is it going to make landfall, and then as well as 2 other systems right behind it, and possibly a 3rd system. But those are too far out in the future. We don't want to talk about them yet. They don't even exist yet as an area of investigation yet. But the high pressure is keeping this storm to the south, which is why this isn't moving north towards Taiwan or Japan or the Korean Peninsula or portions of northeast China. That's the main reason. It's that high pressure is suppressing it. It's like a mountain. It's suppressing it to the south, and it's not able to try to. If there was a ridge of low pressure, this is a ridge. A trough of low pressure. A ridge is high pressure. A trough is low pressure. Trough of low pressure. High pressure. High pressure. Here's your trough. High pressure is keeping it to the south. High pressure remains. High pressure remains right there. 1020, 1025, 1016. As it makes its way into southern China. And we have another storm. Again, it moves north. High pressure comes through. Keeps it to the south. And it pushes it off to the west. Same with this other system. The reason this storm goes off to the north, there's no high pressure here. I didn't even see it on the map. And so it's able to move up and possibly off to the east because it looks like there's a trough of low pressure. A trough of low pressure. Elongated area of low pressure. So that's kind of what we're looking at with these storms. That's kind of the reasoning, the steering movements and the atmosphere of why the storm is moving off to the west. It's because of that high pressure is suppressing it, keeping it to the south. Okay, what else we got going on here? Oh goodness, this is this other map here I'm looking at here. Look, the Tropical Cyclone Guidance Project information. Alright, we got a little bit of tropical cyclone information here on Yagi 12, the West Pacific. As of 1200 ETC, September 2nd of 2024, it was located. What was it? Weather radio went off for a flash flood warning, oddly. Anyway, let's continue with this. So as we continue to watch this, I'm going to look at some of these other... Oh, this is the discussion. These discussions are really complicated, and to show you the discussion of what we'll see in the future. But I don't really want to particularly talk about that because it can be very complicated for sure. Let's take a look. Track guidance. Again, this is like track guidance of where we think the storm is going to go. Again, November 2nd, 2024 at 600 UTC. Continuing to make its way off to the west. And then, again, southern China is going to be where this is going to be impacting. Is what we are seeing based on the air movements and the currents in the atmosphere and the high pressure and the what air masses that we have. It's going to suppress us to the south. There's so much here to even look at. Like there's just so much information on this page. What is this? Oh, it looks like it is emerging off the coast of the Philippines already. All right. I have no idea what I literally just did there. Great. Oh no, what have I just done? What have I just done? I've just done something I didn't know I could do. Can I go back? Fine, whatever. It's fine. Fine. Okay? It's fine. Oh, what's going on here? What? So the center is beginning to reform off the coast of the Philippines now. So now we can officially say it is in the South China Sea. From here on out, we will begin to see that this storm will begin to intensify over time. Now that the storm is over water. There's a center circulation there. We got the winds moving in this direction, counterclockwise. Okay, so that's going to be concerning. Okay, I do want to really quickly talk about what we're seeing in the North Atlantic. I don't know how to get rid of this either. Can I? Okay, fine, good. I don't know how I even did that, to be honest. Alright, I'm going to go to the National Hurricane Center and see what we... Okay. Yeah, that's better. Why does it look like that? I think there's a glitch. Clearly there's a glitch. Hold on. Alright. Here's what we got. We got this storm which remains off the coast of Texas. Again, I don't expect this to develop to anything. However, regardless of development, it will continue to cause some flooding in South Texas, including Southeast Texas as well. This system is the system we have continuously talked about. It is currently near the Lesser Antilles in the Caribbean Sea, a tropical wave producing disorganized thunderstorms and gusty winds across portions of the Lesser Antilles, Puerto Rico, and the adjacent eastern Caribbean waters. Environmental conditions are forecast to become more conducive for tropical cyclone development when the system reaches the western Caribbean and southwestern Gulf of Mexico. Late this week, over the weekend, a tropical depression could form during that time period. Currently, over the next 48 hours, it remains low at 0%, and over the next 7 days, it remains a medium at 40% chance. This storm, I've seen over the modeling, has shown it going to make its way off to the north and to the east, northwest, north central, and then off to the northeast, completely missing in land masses. A tropical wave just off the offshore west coast of Africa, producing disorganized showers and thunderstorms. Environmental conditions are forecast to gradually become more conducive for development, and a tropical depression could form in a few days while this disturbance moves slowly west-northwestward or northwestward over the eastern tropical Atlantic Ocean. As the system could produce heavy areas of heavy rain or gusty winds across portions of the Cabo Verde Islands in a day or two. Over the next 2 days, it remains low at 10%. Over the next week, 7 days, it remains medium at 40%. So I do want to look at the models and talk a little bit what we could see in regards to that storm there moving into the Caribbean Ocean. As I have seen a lot of things going online saying, oh, it's going to impact Texas, it's going to impact the United States. I just want to talk about what we're going to see modeling because there is no center circulation, there is no closed low, so we can't really particularly pinpoint where this is specifically going to go. literally anywhere from the Bahamas to Central America to South America are possible. As you can kind of see, moving through, makes its way, makes landfall, then reorganizes, and rapidly intensifies and making landfall there in Mexico. But again, that's just what this one specific model is showing. And then that storm, as you can see, makes its way off to the north. Look at that bit of a Fujiwara effect there. Two different systems. Take a look and see what the European model is showing. Some of these models have not shown much of anything with these systems, which is good. Again, we're not seeing anything in the next 90 hours from the European model, which is very good. CMC model, see what they're showing here. Again, nothing particularly intense or anything of that matter at all. Icon model. Some of these models have not shown much of anything at all. The Icon model does show some sort of a system developing there off the coast of Texas. And again, this is just got to be something we're going to watch until we get a close low. The models are just going to keep jumping all over the place because it's not able to get a close. It doesn't know where the center is at. So it's just going to be jumping all over the place. Going from Mexico to Florida to Texas to Louisiana to Mississippi, Alabama to East Coast to South America to Nicaragua. It's going to be all over the place because it doesn't know where this is going to go. It's just kind of just guessing. So really with this storm, we don't know specifically where it's going to go because we don't have a lot of information on it. Okay? But if I go to the North Atlantic, I wouldn't be able to point it out because that's how complicated and hard it is to find. Definitely. Maybe now. Where's the GFS showing? Wrong one. Oh yeah, so, but that's it. That's it right there. Well, yeah, it really doesn't look good. So yeah, it's certainly gonna be dealing with a lot of trouble all the way through the Caribbean. Alright. See what else we got going on here. Loop, please. Get something trying to develop there in the Caribbean. See what it shows. I'm curious. It kind of goes everywhere. You got a few going into Mexico, and then you got a few outliers coming up towards Texas and Louisiana. So based on what it's just really completely all over the place. 100% all over the place. We can't really particularly say right now if it's going to go to Mexico, but it does seem, based on what we're seeing with the modeling lately, it is going to be situated towards the Western Caribbean and Gulf of Mexico. Regardless if that's Texas, Mexico, or somewhere in Central America. That's what we're seeing right now. Does anyone have any comments, questions, or concerns? Here's the latest imagery of the Caribbean. Yeah, the West Pacific is going to go completely nuts, and we're going to closely monitor that and continue to talk about that through the rest of through this entire time period, because we're in the very peak of the hurricane season right now across the entire globe. Well, no, northern hemisphere, not the entire globe. Northern hemisphere. But yeah, and it starts with this storm. It's going to be going completely nuts, and it does look like that this center has sort of reformed there. Off the west coast, off the west of the Philippines. It was in Philippine Island. take a look at this. Green is rising air, red is sinking air. Oh, Lord. Climatology, I see. Okay. Green is rising, red is sinking. Yes, I can certainly say that the West Pacific is about to get really active, y'all. Okay, so this will go out 15, this can go out 15 days. So it remains that over the next 15 days, over the next 2 weeks, we will remain and continue to have lots of rising air over the West Pacific and quite a bit of sinking air over the North Atlantic and the Caribbean Ocean and the Gulf of Mexico and the East Pacific as well, which is very good news because that basically just tells me that we're not going to have a lot of storm activity. This goes all the way through September 17th. So based on this, I do expect there to be a lot of rising air and a lot more storm activity there in the West Pacific and not too much in the North Atlantic, which is really good news. Okay. Okay, September 1st, 0, 0, 0. What's this? Wait, I'm sorry. Oh yeah, so this is going to be monthly, right? So again, red is sinking, blue is rising. So again, this is 1 month, this is October. We still see quite a bit of blues and greens there over the West Pacific near the Philippines, South China Sea, south of the Mariana Islands. Oh, shoot, I meant to put GDFS, my bad. GDFS, ensemble, GDFS. There we go. I really want to say just the West Pacific. That really seems the most interesting to me. I don't really have a West Pacific, really. Yeah, lots of rising air. Oh, here. There you go. Alright, so. Kind of curious what we got going on here. Oh, wow. So, just based on this. This is September 7th. It's just got to get a little bit more. Then it's got to calm down a little bit. But overall we're going to see we're going to see sinking air over the North Atlantic, rising air over the West Pacific, which shows that we're going to have quite a bit of tropical cyclone activity there in the West Pacific over, well, according to this, through the rest of September into October. We could have a lot of activity there in the West Pacific. So that is going to be very, very interesting, very, very serious. But just want to really point out in the next 1 to 7 days, that is what we're going to see. Lots of activity. It may even get a little bit worse. Looks like peaking around in 300 hours by the middle of September, and then it begins to die off a little bit, but still remains relative. We relatively seem to have a dominant in terms of where we'll see majority of the moisture going to be. Most of the rising air will be in the West Pacific. Does anyone have any other comments, questions, or concerns? Probably going to end it off there. That's really going to be it. I wanted to kind of close off with this. A lot to talk about here in the future regarding specifically the West Pacific. We do expect to see the West Pacific is going to ramp up given with this storm and then what the models are already showing for the future. So reintensification is beginning to start, in my opinion. We have deep convection there over just to the west of the Philippine Islands. So we do see that intensification going to be happening. And with the next updates that we'll see this afternoon into this evening, we will also see that we'll probably see a tick up in the wind speed and the air pressure may start to drop. And that's not going to do too well if I don't get a animated GIF. So it's kind of hard to tell, but you can kind of see this is going this way, this is sort of going this way, so I can kind of point the center circulation is probably somewhere in this area right here. Not very good radar though, I'll tell you that. It's okay. Yeah, I can kind of see right in this area right here is where the center circulation is. Based on this one specific map. So yeah, we believe that the rising air may possibly in that second half of September, or probably into October or November, right towards the end of the hurricane season, we may see another burst of tropical activity. Tropical cyclone activity there in the North Atlantic. Possible. Is this page gonna load? Oh my god, it did again. Oh, wow. That is a lot of disaster hazards. Currently 384 disaster hazards across the entire world. Flooding. I heard there was like a lot of flooding there. Yeah, it was like a lot of flooding there in India. Wow. Flooding in Texas. Wow. Tsunami. Oh, great. Was it headed towards the United States or what? Tsunami, West Coast, near the Solomon Islands. 6.6. Well, it shows the most likely possibility of where it's going to impact. Anywhere from this part of China all the way through here. What a possibility may impact Vietnam. So it looks like the cone shows it. So anywhere from Vietnam, this is Vietnam here, and then up here is China. So there's even a possibility it may make landfall in China as well as a landfall there in Vietnam as well. This is Cambodia. Doesn't say. Or is this Laos? Or is Laos not existing? It might be Laos. Doesn't say. Oh yeah, this is Laos. Vietnam. Oh yeah. So Laos here, Cambodia, Vietnam, Thailand, Myanmar. And then this is China. And then, and then Thailand's right here. Okay, so based on this one model, based on what this is showing here, this could very well become a very strong system as well. Again, winds of 120, gusting to 150. A little weaker gust, only 115, could make an air landfall there in Vietnam. Let's see what it says here. Updated an hour ago. Let's see the information. So where is this from? Like, where are they getting this information? I'm just curious. Well, cyclone forecast has been issued by the Joint Typhoon Warning Center. Is currently located in the Northwest Pacific Ocean with maximum sustained winds of 74 kilometers an hour, 46 miles per hour, with a maximum wind speed just up to 58 miles an hour. Under this forecast, the cyclone is headed north-northwest at about 9 miles an hour and is expected to weaken over the next 24 hours. Well, we now believe it is over the South China Sea, so we believe that it may actually be intensifying from this point on, which means it's probably here, which means it might have taken another jog off to the south. And in that case, we may see more of an indirect impact, more of a direct impact to Vietnam and not China. Laos would also be impacted since it's right next to Vietnam. And yes, as well as with sustained winds of 46 miles an hour. As of the 2nd of September 2024, 11.4 million people, 3.68 million households, and $208 billion in infrastructure are potentially exposed to moderate to severe damaging winds, with damage expected to the closer to the shores. All shorelines of the path of the storm are exposed to potential storm surge, and inland areas within the proximity of the storm are exposed to potential flooding. Additional updates will be provided as they become available by official sources. The cost represents the total replacement value of the infrastructure. Wow. Okay. Wow, there's just so much here. So much information here. We got rain radii. We got estimated rainfall by. Oh, mackerel, that's going to be a lot of rainfall. Even Taiwan could get some rainfall from this, looks like. So what does this darker color mean? Can I get a grid? Okay, so this just tells you the time. That's interesting. Different clocks. Interesting. Rainfall accumulation over the next 3 hours. Yeah, let's do the next day. That's gonna be a little bit more than that. We're gonna want to look. Alright, I will have to make a disaster alert thing, and I will do that later. And let's go back to tropical difference. So, I have a little bit of an idea of what we're looking at there. We'll be using that website more often since I like it quite a bit. Alright. Here we go. This is very interesting. Okay, so 11 million people, 3.68 million households are going to be exposed. 18% are going to be children. The age is between 0 and 14. The majority of the population will be adults. I think that's an adult age, is 15 to 64, okay? And then the remainder will be older people, 44 million. So majority, there'll be about 8 million adults who will be exposed. And there could be upwards, if they had replaced all the value of everything in this area, including buildings and infrastructure, highways, bridges, stuff like that. It would be, if all of that was completely destroyed and had to completely replace it, it would be $208 billion in damages. Yes. So the darker the color, there'll be severe damage, widespread damage, moderate damage, trees down, some power loss, bridges. So really, we could see some pretty severe damage there as we get there towards Laos, into Vietnam, and portions of southern China. We're going to continue to talk more and more and more about this as we get closer, because there's a lot to still talk about here with this storm as the storm begins to intensify. So, well, probably going to close that off for here. We will be doing a tropical weather update at about 1 o'clock Central Time on this storm, with the next update coming out from the Joint Typhoon Warning Center. With all that being said, thank you so much for everyone watching. I want to close that off here. I don't want to keep this going for too long. Like what, an hour and a half now? About an hour. So that's it for today, guys. Thank you everyone for watching. Take care out there, stay safe, and as always, peace out. We will see you.